Well, it's about 6:45 a.m. here on Monday, October 12th of 2020. I'm going to try to climb up to the top of Mount Princeton today. I'm at the lower parking area here at about 8,900 feet. And from this point, what you have to do is hike about 4 miles one way up the Mount Princeton road before the trail branches off from the road higher up. And the endurance stats for this from this point are about 13 miles round trip and I think 5,400 feet in total elevation gain. So pretty substantial endurance stats from this point. And you can save yourself a lot on that by driving at least part of the way up the road and then parking and going from there. But I'm just going to start from this point. So welcome to my video of climbing Mount Princeton. The mountain is one of Colorado's most beautiful, most dramatic, most symmetrical, most well-known, most photogenic, and most seen 14ers. This view from the east shows it rising an amazing 7,000 feet above the bottom of the Arkansas River Valley. Because of the striking cliffs of white rock on the mountain's south side, it was originally given the name Chalk Mountain back in the early 1870s by the Wheeler Survey. However, by 1873 it had been dubbed Mount Princeton by the Hayden Survey, thereby joining the ranks of the collegiate peaks. This clip shows it coming into view going west along Highway 285, an experience that has captivated many a resident and visitor alike. Here the mountain is shown during the winter from Buena Vista, a bit farther to the north. This angle shows it from the summit of neighboring 14er Mount Yale to the northwest. The mountain and its environs were part of the 1880s silver mining boom, which saw a number of towns spring up in Chalk Creek Canyon. The remnants of one of these, St. Elmo, still exist today. Roughly simultaneous with the mining boom was the rise in popularity of the numerous hot springs in the area, which can provide a refreshing end to a day of hiking and/or climbing within the nearby Sawatch Range Mountains. I will include links to the video of my hike into the chalk cliffs themselves, as well as the video of my stroll along the nearby narrow gauge trail, which long ago was part of the railroad through the area and affords scenic views of Chalk Creek Canyon and its surroundings. These are the directions to reach the lower trailhead and parking area. There are a couple different ways to get there. The first way is shorter if you're arriving from the north. The second way is shorter if you're arriving from the south. Both are about the same distance if you're arriving from the east. The east slopes route up the mountain has pretty considerable endurance stats if you start at the bottom like I do. But as I mentioned, you can cut down a lot on these by driving a ways up the dirt road. Now, I first climbed this mountain on October 6th of 1991 with my dad and some of his friends. And actually, we hiked up the road the previous evening to the chalet house near the mountain's southern sub-peak and spent the night there before ascending to the sub-peak the next morning and then along the connecting ridge to Mount Princeton itself. I was tired enough when we got to the top that I arranged a makeshift bed out of the summit rocks and took a 10 or 15 minute nap with my backpack as a pillow. The second time I was on the mountain was 7 or 8 years ago with my sister on July 3rd. We attempted the same route via the chalet and sub-peak, but turned back down high on the ridge near the sub-peak when we saw lightning. We ended up getting drenched in the rain on the way back down that day. On the present occasion, I attempted the way indicated on this map, much of which can be seen winding its way up the mountain in the clip shown here. Anyway, enjoy the footage, but don't get too blown away like I did. just after the beginning of this road, there's an intersection with another road off to the left here. Don't go to the left. That's where our private camp is. I want to stay to the right to continue on towards the Mount Princeton trail. So I'm still on the initial stretches of this road. Now, this route, considered from starting point to the summit, is almost directly east to west. However, there are individual segments of both the road and the trail that go off in their own directions and twist and turn and switch back. Right now, I'm on this northwest segment of road. I'll be on that for a little while longer. You can see this part of the road actually coincides with the Colorado Trail. So I've made it up here to about 9,500 feet, and the road is going to take a switch back and turn toward the south. And at this point, the Colorado Trail heads off in its own direction to the right. But I'm going to stay on the road here to head towards Mount Princeton. I'm here at about 9,800 feet now, and looks like the road is now taking a turn back toward the west. View is opening up. So after that fairly long west-headed stretch of the road, I'm now up here at about 10,600 feet, where the road is taking a sharp turn toward the northeast. We'll be headed on a segment in that direction for a little while. I'm coming up here at about 10:08 or so, and now the road is going to turn back toward the west again. And there is some parking space at this point if you choose to drive up the road and you need to pull off and park somewhere. This is one place you can do it. So I'm coming up on about 10:09 or so, and you can see that's the southern sub-peak of Mount Princeton there, otherwise known as Tigger Peak, which rises to, I think, about 13,300 or so. And just after that, you can see some additional camping spaces and parking pull-offs. Up here at about 11,000 feet now, and the road has taken a turn toward the northwest. as it continues in an overall westward direction. Back towards the south again. And now you can see the destination for the day, the summit of Mount Princeton. Continue on the road. You can see it's gotten windier. There was some wind in the forecast today, so I'm expecting the possibility that it's going to be windier as I get up higher. Hopefully it doesn't get too stifling though. I'm still going up this road. This road isn't incredibly steep, just long, steady incline. Coming up to about 11.4 now. Road's turning once again toward about the northwest. You can see the road's steadily getting rougher as we go up. Just switched back again here at about 11,600 feet. And now the road's headed toward the west again. Here, closing in on about 11.8. And pretty soon up here, I'm going to be looking for where the actual trail branches off to the right off of the road. So I'm up here at about 11,800 feet, as I said, and this is the point where the actual Mount Princeton trail branches off to the right from the road right here. The road continues on that direction toward the south, but I'm going to go this way toward the north initially. So I'm heading up this initial phase of the actual trail after having branched off from the road, and just back there I ran into someone else who turned around and came back down and said that it was getting too windy up here. So I don't know, see how it goes. So I'm going west now after that initial short northward stretch of this trail, and the wind has gotten pretty stifling. We'll see how much farther I can go. And up here now on some of this talus, it's a little harder, a little easier rather, to lose the path. Doing is kind of traversing upward along this east face of the mountain. And I'm going to be doing that for a while, headed in that direction until I angle upward, eventually up there, upward toward the base of the final ridge. Yeah, I like these temporary pauses in this wind here. Some pretty intense gusts. I'm still on this ascending traverse of the east face here, probably at about maybe 12,600 feet or so. Well, I'm up here now 12,800 feet, and it's getting harder to follow this rocky path, although here are some cairns right here. Yeah, I'm still up here at about 12,800 or so. Mercifully, the wind has kind of died down from what it initially was after the trail branched off from the road. And right here, it looks like this is where the trail stops its ascending traverse of the east face and begins to go in a more south direction, more steeply and directly up toward the ridge here. So I'm going to start along this steeper stretch here. Now continuing up here, maybe 12,900 or so, and it's gotten steeper, and you can see there's some looser sand and gravel involved on this stretch now.
So as I said, at around 12,800 feet, the path is supposed to take a steeper turn to the south and head more directly and steeply toward the ridge. However, I couldn't quite seem to find exactly where this was, So I'm pretty sure that what I ended up doing was to follow something like the older version of the path, shown here, which continues to angle and reaches the ridge at a higher point. I just sort of headed up the talus as best I could, following some intermittent rudimentary sections of trail, but at any rate, I knew I needed to reach the ridge, so it wasn't much of a problem.
Yeah, this part of the route is pretty strenuous, I have to say. Wow, holy hell. I'm so glad to be off that summit now. And back onto the east side of the mountain where the wind isn't so ferocious. I tell you, I have never been on a summit with that much wind before. I just had time to go up there, do a quick pano, say a quick hello, and I was off of that damn thing. Said I'm not even going to eat lunch up there. One thing also is I've been able to find the path much more easily on the way down, which is often the case, I find. So I think I'm going to find a nice quiet place to sit here and have lunch and then continue on down the east face there and back toward the road. along these rock and talus slopes along the east slopes. Pretty soon I'll get back to the trail junction with the road up here. Oh, it's actually comparatively nice down here right now. It's hard to believe I was way up there about an hour and a half ago, almost getting blown over. Coming back to the road now. Can't wait to walk down all 4 miles of this. My knees are gonna love me. Oh well. At least it's smoother and not hopping over boulders anymore. Finally coming back to the lower parking lot here. Just after 2 o'clock, so it took me about 7 hours and 20 minutes to make my way up to the summit of Mount Princeton and back down here. Not bad, which of course, as always, includes the various fumblings of video and picture documentation. And also, yeah, this particular mountain has been 3 times out of 3 now that this particular mountain has exacted a significant and different toll upon me. Anyway, see you on the next mountain.